Howdy.
Hey.
Hey.
Hear me fine?
Yeah, someone said in YouNow that it was sociopath versus sociopath.
Sort of accurate.
I thought that was pretty funny. Anyway, so there's a dilemma with our debate, and that is I don't know what I'm debating.
Okay, well, this doesn't necessarily have to be a debate. It could be more along the lines of a discussion, because you, like, as far as I know, you pretty much agree with the ethical principles of veganism. It's just that you're not totally on board with the diet and nutrition and health aspects.
It's that I suck at it.
Right, okay.
Like, whenever I try to go vegan, I always have medical problems, and I'm trying. Like,
okay, medical problems.
Yeah.
So you've actually had, like, blood work done or something?
Oh, please. Let's not do that. Let's just establish that if you wake up and your whole body is in pain, that you don't need a doctor to tell that your whole body is in pain.
Okay, well, I understand that, but, it just kind of helps to have, like, empirical evidence that you are, in fact, deficient in something.
What I'm saying, here's the thing. I'm not trying to prove to the world that veganism doesn't work for everybody. All I care about is that it doesn't work for me, and if it doesn't work for me, I want to have the best diet that does work for me, and I don't need empirical evidence to tell me that my body hurts.
Okay, well, correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't been following everything too closely, but you tried to go vegan, like, a few months ago now. You made a video after you failed the diet, and from what I saw, you blamed Freely for it, so you just took her advice again?
This is what Freely said. She says, oh, the human body actually needs far less protein than people say.
Okay, so did you actually follow her advice, though?
Yeah, I followed the advice thinking, I don't need protein as much, because she says I need way less protein, so I'm not going to worry about protein as much.
Okay, well...
Insane.
Okay, well, I can't remember the actual name of the study, but it was based in the UK. They found that, like, a typical vegan consumes something like 75 grams of protein per day. And I think the average meat eater, it's slightly more. It's like 79. How much protein were you getting per day?
You're at... Right.
Like, so were you basically just eating fruit?
One of the main reasons I am not a vegan is because I don't like treating my diet like a chore. And to ask somebody how many grams of protein you had in a day is to assume that I'm sitting here going, all right, let me take out my calculator before I eat.
Okay, right. I can understand that, but I can understand that. Like, that's fine. So just go through what you were eating.
It's on my my Instagram, Onision Foods. I actually went through it with Freely, and she was like, "Oh, that's great, good job." And that's a bad impression. But we went through it all, and she said I was doing really good. And then it took like 2 weeks for me to start getting like really, like, for instance, I couldn't do the typical physical activities I used to. Like, I'd get winded trying to do most anything, and it was beyond obvious to everyone in the household.
Are you good?
Right.
This happened both times. So when it happens twice in a row, you ask yourself, well, this other diet has never given me problems. So what am I doing?
So what's the difference between...
The difference is egg whites.
Egg whites?
Yeah.
That's literally it?
Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, I'm going through your Onision Foods thing. It doesn't go back too far. The earliest post was September 8th. So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like you're eating, like, only a Freely kind of diet where it's all fruit. And then at what point did you stop the vegan diet?
I don't know. You'd have to see based on my videos. And I don't know if those...
You don't know the month, at least?
No, not really. A YouTuber's life typically doesn't have weeks and days and months because you work every day.
Okay, I mean, it looks like you're just following a normal diet. I mean, like, I see oatmeal, like...
If I was following a normal diet, then I would have noticed a
Well, no, like you're telling me the only difference was egg whites. Like, I mean, okay, maybe you just need more protein. That's pretty simple.
Yeah,
like
that's exactly it. I need more protein. But the problem is like I asked you for advice on a protein shake, and I'm sure that protein shake is like great for some people, but I hate protein shakes.
No,
like,
did you?
Every single one I try is just not good.
So you actually tried the Vega 1 or whatever?
Yeah, I tried it. It wasn't good.
Okay.
It's like drinking chalk, really, or a paste.
Okay, like the problem here is, I mean, you're on board with the ethical side of things.
Yes.
Like, is it really that big of a deal to eat something that tastes like chalk, like just in the morning?
Well, all right. So this is my perception of the world. It is good to do a lot of good, but when the good that you do begins to make you unhappy, then what is the main purpose of life? To be happy. So, like, if you see, let's say, like a meat eater who, when they go vegan, let's say hypothetically, that they become anemic, and so now they have to take a supplement for the rest of their life to accommodate that problem. You have lowered their quality of life for an ideal that most of the world does not care about. And while it is a good thing that they're doing that, the impact is so minimal mathematically that I think it's better to do good in other areas which work well for you. So, like, do good, but don't make yourself miserable in the process, is what I'm saying. So,
okay, well, there's a few problems there. I thought this debate was going to focus more on nutrition, but it's okay to weave in and out.
I'm not a. You're going to win on a nutrition. You're going to win on most any.
Well, it's cool. Like, we can
any data-driven debate. You're going to win because I'm a person who goes more off real-world experience and not grams and like what a scientist says. I go off like who I've seen, who I've met, my own experiences, etc. Because that's real. That can't be faked on Google or anything. That's legitimate. So that's why you're going to win, because the facts that you can Google are oftentimes going to say, yes, veganism is a wonderful diet, and I agree. But I don't think that those studies will say, you might be miserable, you know? And some people are miserable doing that.
Okay, well, there's a few problems with what you just said. First of all, like
Go ahead.
You were talking about doing good. I wouldn't say not the lack of like choosing not to do something is doing something good. That's just not doing something bad. Like, we're talking about like negative versus. It's almost like we're talking about negative versus positive rights. It's like for like telling somebody not to do something, like telling somebody not to commit murder, that's not doing good. That's just something that society can see as just a moral obligation that isn't even a moral good. It's just something that you need to do in order to not be considered a bad person. So, like, this is the thing I hate about.
I feel like the absence of bad is good, though.
Well, no, the absence of bad is good, but I wouldn't say you're actually committing a good by not murdering somebody or by not, consuming animal products, which in turn kills animals. I'd just say that's just a moral obligation that is
great to not
base. I just say that's a moral obligation that's the minimal amount that you'd have to do to even be considered a good person.
If you could get through life without murdering someone, I think you're doing okay. Like, at least you're doing.
You're doing okay. Also, like, I saw your video where you said like how veganism doesn't work for you and you blamed Freely. Like, you've done this multiple times with a bunch of your like. The controversies you were involved with. I don't want to make personal attacks against you.
On. Before we go through, I guess maybe that is Maybe that is. I don't know. Before we get to that, though, let's actually try to address the Freely thing. Freely guided me through the diet. Like, I literally said, hey, Freely, I'm going to go with your guidance, your advice, and we're going to follow through with this. And we did multiple videos of her telling me exactly what to do. So to blame Freely for being my coach through veganism, I don't know what you expect of me.
Okay, well, like
that's like blaming your trainer at a gym because you're not making any progress.
Okay, well,
this is a dumbbell on your forehead.
Well, this is exactly the issue I have with your Freely video and other controversies you've been involved in. Like, if you fuck up, you always try to blame someone else.
Give me another example. Give me another example.
Okay, like with the 13-year-old girls sending you photos of themselves in their underwear, and then you try to make it look like you're the victim, people are attacking you, you're doing something good. Can you show me
one example of a 13-year-old girl in her underwear?
Okay, there definitely were some very young underage teenage girls. Look.
Okay, so you just made an accusation. You have no proof to back it up, and now you're
well, Greg, I didn't even want to really discuss
what I'm saying is, if you're going
I'm just giving an example.
Then show evidence, man. Have evidence.
There was at least one article that showed an underage girl sent you photos where it was fairly revealing.
Who was clothed? Actually, she was clothed fully.
Okay, well, I'll take your word for it. Anyway,
that's why you don't make accusations.
Oh no, listen. I'm not making accusations. I'm going based off of some articles I've read and some shit I've seen online. Like,
you made such a horribly serious accusation just now, and then you're like, "Well, I'll take your word for it that you didn't do that."
Okay, well, I apologize.
How do you make such a serious accusation?
Well,
for instance,
it's besides the point, Greg.
Shane Dawson. I said Shane Dawson filmed a girl telling her to shake her titties, and she was a very young girl. And then I showed the video footage. That's how you make an accusation, okay? You don't say, oh, well, you released this picture of a 13-year-old in her underwear. Okay, where's this evidence? I don't know. Like, that's what you just did, dude. That's embarrassing. You never make an accusation like that without something to back it up.
Okay, well, anyway, I was fairly aware of that whole incident, and the photos some girls were sending you, they were young enough and showing you revealing enough photos to get people, like, upset. Yeah,
to get people upset. People get upset over stuff all the time.
Okay, sure. But the point is, you always try to push things in the way that... Look, you always try to push things in the way that, oh, I didn't do anything wrong. You're just trying to attack me. You're jealous. I do all this good. Like,
I shot down your first example. Give me another one.
Okay, I really don't care. Let's just focus on the
so you made another accusation
thing.
And you just bailed on the accusation.
I don't care. It's not about the fucking debate anyway. Look, I didn't even want to bring it up. You're the one who pressured me to bring it up, so I don't care. So, like, the Freely example.
On others? Are you blaming your own
look.
Others? Like you just said, I blame people for my own actions?
Okay, Freely coached you through the whole veganism thing. Okay, look, Freely coached you through the whole veganism thing.
Yes,
okay, let's just say, I don't even know how true that is, honestly, looking at your Instagram, because...
Hold on. There's actual videos of Freely guiding the diet and saying through the diet. So that's my evidence.
Okay, well, you told me to look through your Instagram. Like, were you vegan in September, like following a vegan diet?
Again, I do not keep a little book where I write down, I'm vegan.
Okay, well, again, I told you I wasn't really following your whole vegan diet that closely.
My Onision Speak channel. So you don't just want to...
Can you send it, like, through the chat or something? So...
well, if you went to Onision Speaks,
like...
been vegan.
Okay, like, the problem I have with the whole vegan thing is that instead of saying, I didn't do the diet right, somebody gave me bad advice and I just followed it anyway and I fucked up, you try to make this into a thing that, Freely fucked up. It wasn't me making bad decisions. And you try to spin it in a way where instead of like, okay, I just followed a bad vegan diet that didn't work for me.
So
tried to make it into. We
both agree that I was.
Okay, well, there's no real thing as protein deficiency, and
what?
Look, there's no actual medical thing as protein deficiency. Like the only,
so I had less protein than what I need.
there's only a few weird genetic mutations that certain people can't produce their own protein, like a certain type of amino acid, like L-carnitine. It's a very rare genetic disease, and starvation. I know there's like a technical term for not getting enough protein while starving, but you're just starving.
Not like a robot, okay? For a second, let's talk like a human. When it comes to protein, do you or do you not typically need a certain amount of protein in a day to function at a healthy level?
I'd agree with that, depending on your activity level. And like, I mean, if you're weight training every day like I am and doing a lot of exercise, then sure, you're going to need more protein to function properly.
So, if your body gets about 0 protein, do you think that your muscles might start to break down?
Like, Greg, I don't even know what the hell you were eating. You sent me to this Instagram page where you can't even tell me if you were following Freely's advice during this period of time.
I posted the link right here. There you go. It's in the chat again, where I specifically said,
this video does not exist.
It does too exist. I just linked it.
It says an error occurred during validation. This video does not exist. Sorry about that.
Here it is again. All right, so it's literally Freely guiding me through the vegan diet.
Okay, there we go.
Okay. So why would I not blame the person who told me that I didn't need very much protein in a day, and then come to the conclusion based on a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force who was a doctor saying that my muscles and my cartilage broke down because of a protein deficiency. So I switched back to vegetarianism, which has more protein. Has more protein based on my eating habits, and suddenly all these physical ailments go away.
Okay, well, you're misusing the word protein deficiency. You were just at a negative nitrogen balance, so you weren't...
Robot. I'm going to say
Okay, well, I'll explain it very simply to you. Protein is the only nutrient that contains nitrogen. So if you're consuming protein, you're going to have nitrogen in your body. You can test it like through the urine. I think you can even do it through blood. So if you're excreting more nitrogen than you're adding in, so essentially losing more protein than you're adding in, you're not getting enough protein. So that was what was happening to you. It's not a protein deficiency. That's not the proper term for it. You just weren't eating enough protein to maintain muscle mass.
So you had a deficiency in protein.
That's not... it's kind of a semantic thing, but okay, fine. We can call it a protein deficiency if you really want.
If you Google protein
again,
it talks about not getting enough protein. It's like you're trying to reprogram to deny a basic fact.
Well, no, that's not actually a protein deficiency. I mean, like, I eat about 180 grams of protein per day, and that's what I need to build muscle. Now, if I were to drop it down to half, 90 grams of protein, that's perfectly adequate to sustain my well-being and health. That's not a deficiency, but it's not enough to maintain the muscle mass I have, and I'll lose just a bit of muscle. That's not exactly a deficiency. That's just not having enough protein to meet up with the physical demands I have.
That sounds
but anyway, like, for one thing, I just have a problem with your general attitude because
means not having enough of a specific quality or ingredient. So when I say protein deficiency, if I had more protein, then I wouldn't have had those physical problems,
right?
Making it literally a protein deficiency.
Okay, sure. Well, dude, like, get more protein then. What, you can have a tofu scramble in the morning.
So I blame Freely because Freely told me I needed less protein than what was recommended. And then I consumed less protein, and as a result, I had physical problems, and so I switched back to vegetarianism, which is against her advice, and I suddenly was fine. So to blame someone who was guiding me through the vegan diet, told me things that were wrong about protein, that makes sense. Who else do I blame? I don't blame myself because I'm not the one who told me to consume less protein. I was going off the advice of someone I assumed was an expert, which was a moron move, because Freely's just a YouTuber.
So then it's not her fault. Like, you just admitted you were being retarded. Like, it's not...
It was my fault. It was my fault for following the advice of someone who clearly doesn't know what they're talking about.
Okay. All right, great. Like, that's just one of the things. Like, your general attitude towards this is blame everyone else and then just fall back on your own habits.
One example
it doesn't work.
Of this happening outside this freely thing.
Okay, I don't care, because really this debate is only about the freely thing.
Saying you do this and I'm saying prove it, and you're like, I don't care. Stop trying to say that then if you have no evidence. That's like me saying,
Greg, I didn't even want to talk about your personal life to begin with, and then you pressured me into doing it.
You brought it up. You brought it up.
Well, I've seen you do this behavior multiple times.
Okay, give me an example. And what behavior?
Oh, God, I don't know. Like, I'm not even gonna fucking...
For evidence to back up my statement.
You're trying to drag me off the fucking topic. I don't care,
I'm asking you to prove your statements.
Okay, you know what, Greg? I'm sorry. I was totally wrong. This is the only situation that you do this victim game bullshit where it's everyone else's fault but mine.
Examples of your accusation.
Yeah, great. And I was wrong, Greg, so now we can move on. You made a post on December 9th on your Onision Food Instagram.
Yeah.
Well, I can see clear, like, it's pretty clear in that bowl that isn't just egg whites. That's like a whole egg. So are you sure the only it looks like it. That looks like egg yolk to me. Like, maybe that's...
Yeah. You're not supposed to eat egg yolk because of the overwhelming...
Well, the cholesterol is really bad, but,
Yeah, so I try to avoid it, but it's like I said, it's not like I'm an egg yolkologist. Like, it's not like I've sworn my life to not eating.
Right. Okay, and, like, Greg, do you ever go out to eat at restaurants and then eat something that's vegetarian but not vegan?
Why wouldn't I eat a vegetarian dish if I'm a vegetarian?
Right, well... No, like, I'm just trying to make a point. Like, the only difference between your vegan and vegetarian diet isn't just egg whites. Like, I'm sure other things slip in there. I was speaking in a
general term, as in this household when I'm not going to the restaurant.
How often do you go out to eat?
Like, once every 5 days.
Okay, so 1.1, 1.2 times a week on average. Yeah. What do you generally eat when you go out?
Depends.
Or is it different every time?
There's Asian food,
right?
Italian food, but
okay,
let me give you an example. Okay, cheese hurts my heart. I don't know why, but whenever I eat cheese,
that actually makes sense. It can increase your triglyceride levels so high that it actually causes angina, which is like pain in your chest.
I have a vagina in my heart. All right.
Angina.
I know. I was making it. Yeah, I avoid.
Okay, so you do avoid cheese,
and I drink almond milk. Like, if I go to Starbucks, which I don't like going there, but if I do, I ask them for almond milk instead of cow's milk because I like it. I like it.
Okay, and have you ever thought of
when I eat at, say, IHOP, I'll say I want egg whites. I want an egg white omelet or whatever. Sometimes they give me cheese when I don't want it, and it tastes like shit because I hate how most everything combined with cheese tastes. Sometimes it's good, rarely. So when I go out, I'm mostly vegan as far as getting rid of the obvious. But
meat and cheese.
Veganism is much more complicated than that, where you have to ask the chef for the list of ingredients. And that's like, that's its own thing. But what I'm saying is that for the most part, I'm very, very specific.
Okay, so for the most part, it is only eggs that you're consuming.
Yeah, but I have gone to eat, I've eaten ice cream. Like, my spouse will get ice cream, and I'll take a bite of their ice cream. And it's different.
Right, okay. I'm just... Right, because I'm just trying to see, like... I'm not trying to accuse you of anything, but it just seems like you're eating more than egg whites to make this... massive change to occur
is what we're pointing out, and not even then, because a lot of times I'm not eating any.
Okay, so do you drink a plant-based milk every day?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. Okay, it's almond.
Yeah.
Okay, have you ever thought of switching to soy?
Soy, as far as I know, gives you stomach cancer.
No, that's not true. Well, you
Okay.
can
Based on what? Soy, stomach.
research, like, it's...
In Japan, they have a high consumption of soy, and they also have a higher rate of stomach cancer.
That might be because of fish consumption as well. Like, you can probably draw that.
I didn't know that fish gave you stomach cancer.
Well, I know it is linked to esophageal cancer, but I've never seen any association between soy and stomach cancer. Like, if you know of an article, send it to me, but soy has been found to reduce breast cancer in women and prostate cancer in men, and it's been shown to reduce heart disease as well, so I wouldn't be too worried about any negative health effects of soy. But the thing is, like, a simple change like that would get you, an extra 8 grams of protein per serving? And if you drink, 2 glasses of soy milk per day, like I usually do that, then that's an extra 16 grams of protein per day. And it's not really any effort. It's something you're going to drink anyway. So there's pretty simple changes you can make to get more protein. What's your activity level like, by the way, Greg? Like, do you do a lot of exercise and weightlifting and crap?
Weightlifting? No, I'm a full-time YouTuber. I just make videos all day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't really do too much exercise?
Just sex, dude.
Are you trying to find the article with about the soy?
You're right. I couldn't really find anything concrete. I found people saying that soy was attached to breast cancer, but I'd also see someone right next to that saying it's not.
That's the Weston A. Price Foundation you probably found.
I was on WebMD.
WebMD? Okay. That's kind of weird that they'd mention that, but...
They went back and forth about it. I didn't read it in depth because I'm trying to listen to you at the same time. But I'm gonna not argue with that because I don't have anything to back it up. Thanks, Ethan. Anyway.
Okay, well, right. So, I mean... So how often do you eat egg whites, and typically in what quantities? Like, do you only eat egg whites when you go out to eat, sort of thing? Or...
We eat egg whites at home.
Okay, so you do eat egg whites at home.
Yes, I do.
And do you buy whole eggs and then take out the yolk, or do you just... Sorry?
I do exactly that.
Okay.
Egg and get rid of the yolk.
And how many egg whites do you eat per day? Or I guess eggs, because you actually use eggs.
I think if you average it all, on a day where I actually eat egg whites, it's like 6.
6 egg whites, okay.
Yeah, I'll say that's 4 times a week, maybe 3 or 4. Yeah.
All right. So you're saying 6 egg whites 4 times a week?
Yeah.
Okay, let me try to... So it's about 20 egg whites per week. Okay, so that's 72 grams of protein.
Fucking kidding me.
So that's 72 grams...
Also, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you to tell you you're right about something also. I looked up the protein amount in soy milk. It's 8 grams. And in almond milk, it's 1 gram.
Yeah, it's pretty low. I think in some, it's less than 1 gram per serving.
Yeah,
so that's an easy
brilliant.
change.
That's brilliant, yeah.
So 72.8 grams of protein, roughly in the amount of egg whites you eat per week. And let's see, if you were doing... That's cool.
But, yeah.
So if you were going to eat 2 servings of soy milk per day, which would equate to 16 grams of protein, multiply that by 7, that's 112 grams of protein per week. So that more than compensates for the eggs you're eating.
What? Oh, yeah. You're talking about with soy milk.
Yeah. So if you switched from almond milk to soy milk, you could get an extra 112 grams of protein per week. Right now, you're getting 72 grams of protein per week with eggs. Well, if you just didn't eat eggs and then switched to soy milk, then that's an easy way to get 112 grams of protein.
Hold on. Let's also look up... Let's see, what do I do? Life cereal. A ton.
Life cereal?
Yes, Life cereal. And it says this has only 3 grams of protein.
Yeah.
Fuck. All right. Well,
I'm not really a cereal person. I usually just eat oatmeal.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's Cashy cereal. Cashy's probably better. I know it's more expensive than a lot of the other brands because it's like organic and crap, but I think generally it has more protein because it is a whole grain.
Do you have any other examples of a good non-powder protein source for
non-powder? Like an easy one, I'd say.
You just gave me protein in soy milk, which just
right.
That's catastrophic. Any other examples like that?
Okay, well, there's powdered peanut butter. So, technically it is a powder, but you can mix it in with your cereal and milk, and then you've got, like, a nice peanut buttery flavor. No. I always do that with...
No.
You don't like peanut butter?
Not that much, no.
Okay.
I'm not going to have... I like peanut butter by itself, like, in its natural form or whatever.
Right, and I know you like eggs and omelets and crap like that. You could make a tofu scramble out of silken tofu. Sorry?
I love tofu.
Right, so that's just another way you can replace eggs and get more protein as well. Yeah. There's plenty of recipes. You can just look up tofu scramble. I think the Vegan Corner on YouTube has one. They're a really good source for recipes. So tofu scramble, that's an easy one. And I'd suggest just eat some meat substitutes every once in a while. I'm sure you can get a hold of...
Those typically have eggs in them. Those typically...
there isn't any Gardein at your grocery store?
Gardein is typically vegan?
Yeah, no, they're always vegan. Yeah, and they're really good. They even have a fish... fish fingers or fish fillets or something, and they taste pretty good.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not a big fish fan, but...
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That stuff's great.
Yeah, so Gardein...
You're saying it's all vegan?
Yeah, it's all vegan.
No fucking way.
Yeah. So
all right.
Look up Gardein, and I'd say have some of that.
Yeah, so this is what I'm going to do. I got a bunch of vegetarian burritos recently. $50 worth of burritos. I'm not sure if they're vegan. They might be. But if they aren't vegan, I'm going to get through those. And then I'm going to follow your advice because I'm confident that if I get enough protein, I'll be fine. But follow your advice with the soy milk because that is fucking obvious. I looked at that and that's 1 to 8 times the amount of protein that I was getting.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my last hurrah. I'm gonna trust that this is gonna work because you proved that.
Okay, well,
way more protein. That's obviously.
Right. The only thing I'm worried about is you're not telling me everything you're eating because, again, it just seems kind of strange to me that somebody who has a low level...
bread, tons of pasta, tons of burrito type stuff, like beans and all that.
Right. Okay, so, as long as you keep your diet pretty consistent to where it was and just make those small changes, I think you should be fine.
Essentially, what I'm going to want to do now is swap out the egg whites with the soy milk.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
great.
At restaurants, I'll just be like, I'm a vegan. So they'll be like, oh, great. Can I have some fruit?
Yeah, and don't be afraid to do tofu scrambles in place of an egg dish or try some Gardein products
I know the fish, the Gardein fish. I don't understand that wizardry. Amazing.
Yeah, it tastes pretty close. There's actually a vegetarian sushi place by me that's has some pretty crazy fish substitutes.
I mixed relish with VeganGains, and it made a perfect dipping sauce for that Gardein fish.
Okay. I hate relish and mayonnaise, but
saying I have that glorious moment in my life.
Right, good. Yeah, I mean, if that's the only thing in your diet that really changed, just the eggs, and you don't think you were eating less overall on the vegan diet?
I was eating as much as I could.
Yeah? Okay.
I never was hungry.
Yeah, so I'd say just try to make that simple change, keep the diet consistent. If it's working for you now, and then you just take out the egg whites and then add in the soy milk, I think you'll be perfectly fine. And soy milk is usually fortified like they pretty much always are. It's fortified with like iron, zinc, B vitamins, so you'll probably get more overall nutrition as well.
Yeah, and so soy doesn't have any risk of blocking any of the nutrients.
It does reduce iodine absorption, but it's probably not going to be. You're probably not going to consume enough soy for it to be a big deal. Typically, you get iodine either from cow's milk, because in the dairy industry, some of the cleaning chemicals they use have iodine, and then it ends up getting in the cow's milk, and then you get iodine through that way, and table salt. So salt is iodized. Those are the two main ways most people get iodine. Soy does inhibit iodine absorption, but I mean, if you have a normal intake of iodine and you're not really going to increase your soy intake by that much, it's just 2 glasses of soy milk. I don't think it'd cause you any problems.
All right.
So, yeah. And I mean, it doesn't hurt to get a blood test, get checked up by the doctor, like, you know.
Yeah. I mean, the last blood test I had, I was perfectly balanced and everything, but that was
good.
Years ago. So it's
okay. Yeah, I mean, before you make the dietary changes, might be good to get a blood test done, and then maybe a few weeks after, get another blood test done. And, like, if you're having any problems or something, message me on Twitter. I know before I didn't respond very quickly, but I'm more active on Twitter now, so I'll see your messages.
What am I supposed to contact you about on Twitter?
Sorry?
I was thinking about...
Oh, no, if you're having any trouble with your diet or any questions, just message me on Twitter.
You've always been helpful. I never threw you under the bus because you never told me I needed less protein. Just nuts. You need protein.
Yeah. Yeah, so hopefully that works out for you. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
I appreciate this, man. I appreciate opening my eyes to this soy milk.
Yeah, it's cool. I don't mind helping anyone out.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, so you want me to just back out of the stream now?
All I do is click drop.
Okay.
All right, thanks for joining me.
Okay, no problem, dude.
Bye.
Bye.